Hey, welcome back to another DFW Real Estate Market Deep Dive. Today we're talking about inventory. How many homes are actually for sale in DFW and why the heck does that matter? Well, it matters quite a bit, and it has been a little bit weird over the last couple of years, especially the last couple months, going from 2022 to 2023. So if you've been looking at possibly purchasing a house or selling your house or just curious about real estate in general, this is a fantastic video to really understand what's happening here in DFW and not get caught up in all of the clickbait headlines that will mislead you on what is really happening. I'm Lindsey, your property geek, and I thrive on real estate data and crunching it down and getting it into a format that hopefully is easy to understand and help you make really good decisions for you and your family. My real goal is to help you build wealth with real estate through smart purchases, better sales, and possibly investing some of that equity that we are all sitting on. Without further ado though, let's deep dive this inventory, and we're gonna start with the first side of the inventory equation, home sales, closed sales, removing homes from the market. So when we take a look at this, and we're gonna start nationally, and I'll get you some local numbers. Nationally, we are down 16.6% from the same time last year. Pretty crazy to be down 16% when there's more people looking for homes. Now, we know that real estate is hyper-local, and this will help show that. So depending on which region you are in, you are not down as much as the entire average, which makes total sense. Well, here locally, different counties have different rates, different neighborhoods within different cities have different rates. So while across the board, yes, we are down in closed sales, some neighborhoods might actually be up. So if you're curious about what's happening in your neighborhood, hit me up, send me a message. I can look that up for your individual neighborhood. So we do know that there's two main factors affecting closed sales right now. One is a lack of inventory, and two is the mortgage rates, as demonstrated here by Lawrence Yan, the chief economist for the National Association of Realtors. And it makes sense when you think about it. If there's not very many choices, and the choices that are remaining may not be your favorite, and you combine that with higher prices than last year and higher interest rates, it's going to be hard to pull that trigger and make that purchase. So closed sales are down. There's a lot of buyers that would love to buy a home right now, and we know that because I'm talking to them daily. They're just waiting. And they're waiting for that perfect house to hit the market or for interest rates to drop, which makes some of the homes that they really would have liked to become more affordable again. People are just waiting, and that's what we know. To help demonstrate how hyper-local real estate data can be, I've broken this down by county so you can see that some counties are doing better than others in some months, and some months it switches a little bit. But for the most part, they follow the same trend. And that trend is when you look at these peaks here of the total, it is trending down. So over the last couple of years, since July of 2020, at this peak here, we've been trending downwards as far as closed sales. It has been crazy the last couple of years here in real estate, but things are starting to slightly return to normal as we go forward with pricing at least. Check out my last video on that if you missed it, because I do go in pretty deep on pricing there. But another really cool look at this and kind of a preview for the future of what inventory is going to look like is closed sales by type. And by type, I mean resale, existing homes, or new construction. So, before pre-pandemic here, resale was staying fairly flat while new construction was continuing to get higher. I'll show you a chart here in a second that really demonstrates this. But what's really crazy is the last couple of years. I'm telling you, the last couple of years have been nuts. So in 2021, when you think about what was happening, what were the big headlines? It was the supply chain. In 2021, builders couldn't get what they needed to finish houses. Well, if people can't finish houses, guess what? Resale is going to go up. People are still trying to sell their houses, getting to new different ones and move. So resale skyrocketed in 2021. Well, builders caught up, and in 2022, interest rates changed. So we all know what happens there. Towards the end of last 6 months of 2022, sales plummeted because people weren't selling their homes as interest rates skyrocketed. So that went down. New construction started catching back up. Supply chains got better. And then by the end of the year, it was up. And in 2023, we've continued the trend even worse, though. People are staying put. They're not selling their home, but new construction is booming right now. So we can look at new construction listings here locally by year. And if you look all the way far to the left at 2013, it has been growing significantly and steadily over the years. New listings on average, so this is the average per month listings, And in 2021, it dropped, just like we saw in this last graph, and then it has been blowing up since then. That's also the same trend nationally. So here, this dotted line is your average units completed over the course of all of real estate data that we have available. And we know what happens in 06, 07, 08. The real estate market crashes, and a lot of builders lost out, and a lot of them went bankrupt, closed business. And they have been slowly gaining back the momentum they had. And this year is the first year they hit the national average again. We expect that to continue. And that will help relieve the pressure, especially as we go forward, as interest rates start to drop. People want to move up from their starter home into new construction. That is a very normal move. As you move up, you buy a house that may not be your forever home. You stay in it 6 to 10 years, somewhere in there on, and you move up to maybe a new construction home. And that will help free up existing home inventory as well. Which brings me to new listings. Now, the other side of the inventory equation is new listings. So we talked about the listings leaving the market. Now about the ones coming in. And that is a big reason why this is down. In August of each year, we are still lower than the average. When you can see of the normal years, we're skipping those crazy years and just looking at the normal years. So you can see that we're down for new listings. Active listings mean how many listings are we bringing into August? That's down almost half, which is crazy. And total listing count, really kind of combining those numbers, we're still down. We are still down maybe 40%. Yes, it's getting better, but don't let the headlines fool you. Our inventory problem is not over. It may still take a couple of years to get back to a normal level of inventory so that buyers have the choices that they want and need when they're looking to buy a home. Looking at some local data for new listings, this is an interesting look at, once again, at resale versus new construction for these years. Now, you can see the difference here is that in 2023, the total is, here locally at least, is still very consistent actually with those pre-pandemic years. So nationally, it's still much lower, but here in DFW, we're actually doing pretty well as far as bringing new listings on the market, but we are doing much more new construction than resale than in previous years. Now, we have an interesting graph here. This is showing each year over the course of a year, broken down by the year, 2017 through 2023, but you're seeing the trend of new listings by month over these last 6 to 7 years. And very interestingly, in August, so last month, was the first time in a very long time, maybe ever, we've actually seen the new listing count go up. You can see it almost always goes down as you get towards the end of the year. It's a very reliable graph here, except for this 2020 year, which is crazy. And this is the first time that it's gone up. It's a good indication that inventory is going in the right direction. It's just not there yet. And if you look locally, this follows that exact same trend. So here's our local market data doing the exact same thing. Now, beginning of the year is a little crazy. End of the year is very predictable as far as new listings go. But here, this dotted line is 2023. And while it didn't actually go up, it stayed flat, which is still very different from what normally happens. Every other July to August, it has gone down. So we're actually getting back to a normal level of listings for August, according to this graph, where it was low most of the year. We'll see what happens in September. Maybe it continues to go flat. Maybe it goes down. Who's to know? But new construction has been leading the way, and I know there's a lot of good incentives to buy new construction right now. To wrap all this up, I want to touch on those two numbers that I talked about from the beginning of the video. Total inventory, so the options available to buyer, and your 30-year fixed mortgage rate. Now, no one really knows what's going to happen to the mortgage rate. We can make predictions. We've been wrong before, but when you look at what is normal with inflation and interest, normally the 30-year fixed mortgage rate lags behind inflation. When it goes up, the rate also goes up. Maybe a couple months later, but it normally will follow. As you can see, these graphs are very correlated, 30-year fixed rate mortgage versus inflation. Now, normally when you see these big spikes, it happens afterwards, right? And as you can zoom in and look over here, the interest rate has been doing the exact same thing with inflation, except inflation has come down significantly lately, but the interest rate has stayed up. So we do expect interest rates to come down. I can't tell you when, but they will come down. They're not going to stay high. People don't want them to stay high, and the economy is very good. So I don't expect them to stay high. And everything I'm reading, but when you ask me when, I don't know. It's different day to day, week to week, month to month. But when it does, you can expect buyers to come into the market very strongly, wanting to buy those houses they've been waiting on. Which brings me to the total inventory available here in DFW. Now, when you take a look at this, this is what's been happening over the last couple of years. And of course, we are down. Like the other graph showed you, we are down versus 2019 here locally. However, we are getting there. So we are still below 2017 levels, but not by a whole lot. By the end of next year, I expect to be higher than our 2017 levels, and we might even be getting close to 2018 levels. We'll see. What is promising is how many more new construction homes we have. So 7914 is higher than any of the previous years, but what we're really lacking is resale homes. And as interest rates drop, as new construction continues to increase in production, we will see more resale homes become available as more homeowners will move into those new construction homes. So hopefully this helps. If it does, please share this with someone that might need a little insight into the market, that may be sitting on the fence. Check out my last video on pricing if you are concerned prices might drop, because, spoiler alert, they're not. So if you'd like to get more information on any of this, please watch some of those videos, share this with someone you like. And overall, if you have any questions or want to dig in deeper, maybe into your local area, send me a message. I'm pretty active on Instagram. All those links will be in the description below. So thanks and have a great day.